sufficient unto everyone, has been sufficient to every one of us. That we say thank you. And that in the name of Jesus, we hand over this meeting into your hands. We pray that you will take control, that you will lead, you will guide, you will protect, and that everything we are going to be doing here will be useful to us in every areas of our lives in the name of Jesus. And that as we leave this meeting, we will not leave the same way we entered. We'll have facts added to our lives in Jesus' name. Take control, for in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Idoreen. Thank you. We move to the next agenda. We'll have the safety brief. So it is very, very important that in course of this call, you maintain good sitting posture by ensuring you have an ergonomic chair and an appropriate desk set to the appropriate height. Also, if you're using headsets or earpiece, kindly avoid loud volumes to prevent hearing damage. Again, ensure your location has good network connectivity so you will not miss out on all of the information that will be shared, and also ensure that it is completely free from environmental hazards. And please, we don't want any interruption, so you can put off your videos except your speaker, and also mute your microphones to avoid interruptions. Then use the chat box if you want to ask questions or make any comments. Thank you. So next we have the opening remark by the Vice President, Ebere Emanuela. Ella, just to confirm, are you on this call?
Yeah, I'm on the call. Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So the floor is open for you to take the opening remark.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great honor to have this program today, to have seasoned speakers from various industries and from the academia as well. You know, equity is not focused on just the female gender alone. It's something that has to do with everyone, be you in the male-dominated environment or a female-dominated environment. We have to learn about equity and know how to go about it. That's why this program is here today. So I'll urge every one of us to get our notepad and pen, listen and get the value information to help make the world a better place for everyone. Thank you very much as we proceed with the program.
Thank you very, very, very much, Ella, Vice President. Next on the agenda, we'll be having the keynote address as soon. Sorry, please. We'll be having the keynote address soon. So please, everyone, kindly, because the event has started. So yet again, if you've not invited your friends, invite them now. Thank you. So for today, our keynote speaker is Isioma Asiodu Otsugwo. She studied electrical electronics engineering at the University of Benin, and she was an ExxonMobil scholar. She worked in the telecommunications industry, and the global spread of energy company Shell attracted her to the Shell Petroleum Development Company as a production maintenance trainee in 2010. She has 13 years of experience in the energy industry. Isioma spent her early career years in frontline roles in oil and gas production fields and terminals as an instrumentation engineer, a field supervisor, and a production unit manager. Those roles reinforced her conviction in the power of inclusive leadership. Her experience spans frontline operations and maintenance, continuous improvement, maintenance and reliability engineering, cultural and process change leadership, risk management, people development, external stakeholder management, digitalization and technology, asset management, and safety. She has a diploma from the University of Warwick, UK in engineering business management. She's currently pursuing the MIT Chief Sustainability Officer certification. Isema is passionate about people, maturing solutions, and possibilities. She was recognized in 2019 by SPE Lagos in the Women in Energy Hall of Fame program, and she's the co-founder of Blazers and Baby and head of network for Learning Career Mom. That's a learning network focused on supporting young women to customize and achieve their family and career aspirations. She was recently appointed as a global advisory board member for the Learning Network Leadership Program, covering over 100 networks globally. She believes anyone with collective support can rise and solve wicked problems. Wow. She is married to a petroleum engineer, and together they have 2 young daughters, which she had while building her field and technical experience. It's a great pleasure to invite you, Ma, to the floor.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can, Ma.
Yeah, I can't see any of you, but it's okay. Thank you very much for inviting me. And please, if you can hear me, just put something on the chat so I know that indeed you can hear me. I'm dialing in from Katashal. I'm not based in Nigeria anymore, and I'm going to share some of my story with you as part of this keynote address. Thank you, Carlo David. And I hope that there are men and women, boys and girls on this call, because the call to action and this keynote is not going to be applicable for just women, but also for guys. And on the call, is the progress we need to make is not the progress that is just men that need to take action. So thank you for the opportunity. Did you know that it's just 88% of women in Nigeria that have access to mobile phone, and 92% of men actually have access to mobile phone? So you see that the selection of the theme DigitALL by the United Nations is not just because they feel like, oh, digitalization is rising and so everyone needs to get on board, but because they have clearly seen the gap between, even at the start point, access to simple mobile phone between the male and female. And this is Nigerian data. Across the world, there are about over 230 million more men that have access to mobile phones than women. And the thing about the Nigerian data is that out of these 82% of women, only 34% of these women have access to the internet. So you can imagine that you on this call, 26 people on this call, imagine you're all women, you are one of the lucky and privileged few that have access to internet. There are over 70% of women, or 60-70% of women do not have access to internet. And there are a lot of reasons why they do not have access to the internet. In line with the theme of the session today, I'm going to be exploring, DigitALL and the context in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's no surprise with this data that in 2022, the UN also called to action around digitalization, and 2023, we're still talking about digitalization. And this is because if we continue advancing technology at the rate it's going, one can see that between 2020 and 2023, the advancement in technology has been very accelerated. But what the UN Women team is drawing our attention to is that if the technology keeps advancing in the way it's advancing, and we don't change anything about how this technology is being used, accessed, and developed, that the gender gap for women is going to be wider. We wouldn't want that. So that's why we are going to have a conversation today about what we can do. And in your space as students, and I will also share some experience from industry. And so how to give you some perspective as how we can make a shift so that women don't end up losing out in in the technological advancement that's being made, as well as women also get the benefits, because there are so much benefits in digitalization and technology. But women have to be well positioned to be able to get those benefits. Let me give you a story. I studied electrical and electronics engineering in the University of Benin. I didn't come to University of Port Harcourt, though I wanted to at some point. And from there, I just fell in love with, the telecoms industry. Even if I was an ExxonMobil scholar, I enjoyed power electronics. But my first job, my first into NYSC was with a TESALAT. And I think that in itself made me privileged to understand the power of technology. Imagine how we were accessing, calling our friends before with those mobile phones, those phones that it's only if you were rich, you had it in your house and you have to it in a different way. And all of a sudden, these mobile networks came when we had democracy and more people had access to mobile phone. So you don't need to go to people's houses and knock on the door and they'll say they are not around. You call them before you go. Imagine how much time that has saved people. I can't go to Nana's house now without calling her. But our parents, that's what they do. They'll travel, then they will travel or they'll write a letter and they'll wait for days before they find out if Norma is around. But now we have that benefit of technology to save the day. Now, when we bring it to, and I want to share, I want to highlight 4 key things I want us to pay attention to. So the first step is access, right? But before access, do you even know enough? Do women know enough about technology and the benefits? Because when we are not literate and we don't have that, sorry about that, I got interrupted. When we do not have that education and literacy, then we would not even know what we are missing. Who can relate with that? If you don't know that this can save you or this can make you do things better, you would just keep going. So the very first step is education. And then education, then we need to move into access. And as we have established at the start, everyone on this call is already privileged because they can access the mobile internet. They can afford the data to join this call and listen to me. Now that you have access, then we shift into the next thing. How can you use it? How can you use it in a way that is profitable to yourself and the industry? And now let's explore that one more, because I think that's where a huge opportunity lies. Most people talk about coding. Coding is just one way, and it can be intimidating. But I would dare say that anyone that can study petroleum engineering can code, because petroleum engineering is not simple. You are thinking about unknown things under the subsurface, beneath geological formations, so you should not be afraid of coding. But indeed, if coding is not your thing, maybe you're not afraid, but it's not something that is interesting to you, I would advise that you, as a minimum, you learn about the possibilities, what coding can do. And that in itself is an advantage, because even if you can't code, because you know what it can do, you are able to now apply it in industry. For example, there was a time where to interpret seismic data, people had to use their eyes to interpret seismic data to understand where the oil contacts are and all that. Now, because of the advancement in technology, some AI technology actually that work and do it faster than human beings. Human beings would spend about 2 weeks, sometimes, spend a lot of time. Let's say the good people, maybe they spend 1 week looking across numerous data to basically interpret and advise the drillers as to where, what next to do. But there's AI technology available that would scan through hundreds of data, scan through the historical data and make that decision in minutes. So imagine if you're a leader of a team and you're recruiting a petroleum engineer. And yeah, the petroleum engineer maybe doesn't have knowledge of coding, how to code, but understands that there's this technology out there that can do things. You will definitely go for the one that has that knowledge of what technology can do than one that is still referring to paper and contact and all that. So going back to the use. So I think that we have the duty now to learn more around how technology can be used in the industry we want to practice in. There's also the benefit of technology that has to do with money. a lot of technology jobs are high-paying jobs. And if you've gone through the stress of reading a STEM subject, petroleum engineering, and now graduating, you should not lock yourself out of the opportunities that you can get from the tech high-paying jobs. So I'm imploring us that please go online, look for even the basic course about tech, understand the application of technology in the industry, know about it. Even if you don't know how to use it, just know about it. And by the time you know about the different use cases, which I'm going to also speak some about, you are able to know where you want to develop it. So I'm going to give 3 examples of use case. I've talked about seismic interpretation of data. So with that one, we are talking about natural language programming and artificial intelligence. Now let's talk about productivity. From the basic, Excel. Some people are in the workplace and Excel has been around for many years and they've still not figured out use Excel halfway. So imagine you can use Excel, and now there's even an AI, back to artificial intelligence, an AI solution now that can help you go through Excel faster. And I employ 2 petroleum graduates, and one knows how to use Excel and knows how to leverage technological skill. And I give the 2 of you the same task to do. Of course, the person that has more knowledge about the technologies about technology would deliver the task faster. And what does that mean? The person gets better performance rating, better bonus, better progression, better promotion. And I want that women should not be left behind in that. And the advantage of technology means that for women, you would notice now there's a lot of talk about flexible working, remote working, and even men are enjoying it now. It means that your work you don't have to be in the office to deliver work. But if you do not know how to leverage on technology, I tell you that women are not going to be able to benefit from the flexibility and better work-life balance that remote roles give them. A lot of young people now are able to work from Nigeria for companies that are incorporated in the US, and they're able to earn Forex even while they're in school. And that's because they're able to understand technology. They are able to now take them to develop requisite skill. You need to know everything about technology, but you need to know what matters and what you can find interesting. So I've talked about a second use case. Another use case in industry, because we've talked about productivity, we've talked about seismic. Another use case in industry, do you know that you can actually be a designer? And that's the people I'm talking about coding. If you get the right education about digitalization around technology codes, you contribute to inventing an app, contribute to development of a program that can help the industry, that can help petroleum engineers, that can also solve problems of the industry. So you can see that aside from developing and inventing solutions based on digital and technology, there's opportunity for you to use it to improve your productivity. There's an opportunity for you to use it to deliver industry solutions faster, like seismic interpretations, and even machine learning and predictive analytics. There's just so much you can do. So women, we can't be left behind. We need to get to, and there are a lot of free courses, starting from the different websites that have all these courses at no cost, at no cost. Then investing time in your day. You look at Instagram, TikTok, all that. There are actually some accounts on those platforms that actually share information about the energy industry and tech. Follow those right accounts. I'm not saying don't get on social media. Follow the right accounts that can help you advance and access the financial benefits of the tech, because you are paying for mobile data. It's not a sin for you to be able to earn money with your mobile phone, right? So I would encourage us that all this is not easy. Yes, it can be easy for me to say and all that, but I've been through it. But let me tell you what has made it work for me. Having people around me that encourage me, having people around me that are doing it, that are interested in the same kind of goals. And that's why I would advocate that every one of you, don't go at things alone. Beyond your study groups, you're trying to study to pass exams, but in the real world, you would need groups that would help you move towards your career goals, open doors for you, develop you, challenge you with learning, and go through learning challenges together. And that's where, you see, in my introduction, they said, okay, I'm in the advisory board of Learning Network. I would advise SPE chapter to start circles around digital and technology, so that more petroleum engineers in this chapter are able to develop the skills they need to be competitive, even from interview stages, and even to do remote jobs while they are waiting for one job or the other. There is no, you don't have to pick one career. You don't have to make your money just from petroleum engineering. You can be so many things. There's digital marketing. There's user policy advocacy. There's sometimes there are people that there's opportunity to test softwares. They just want users to test the softwares, and you get experiences there. So you need to actively find this community that you have a goal, and all of you are working towards those goals together, meeting at targeted times and discussing these goals and so one another. And that's what I would talk about. Don't go at it alone, leverage on the collective, but have defined goals. There's enough opportunity in the digital world for women, and it's a chance for us to close the existing gap in gender, the existing gender. But if we don't take action now, we may miss that opportunity. So thanks for inviting me, and I look forward to joining the panel session later and speaking some more about questions that you have. But if you have any questions, also happy to answer. And I wish you all a happy International Women's Day, and cheers to a more inclusive world.
Thank you very, very, very much, Ma, for the wonderful keynote address. We talked about the power of technology and how females can, and how it is beneficial to the world at large. Also, she talked about circles and digitalization, how you should not go at it alone. Ensure you have circles. So I think that is a very, very important point. Please, if you have questions, you can drop them on the chat box, or you can ask, and you can raise your hands, and I'll give you the opportunity to unmute and speak. Thank you. While we wait for questions, Ma, could you maybe share some resources or maybe some learning platforms for people to be able to harness this power of digitalization?
So I think a lot of people already use YouTube, maybe watching different things. YouTube, just give any of the topics I mentioned: machine learning, introduction to machine learning, introduction to artificial intelligence, introduction to programming. There are a lot of free videos there that you actually start from. Let's say YouTube. Then for some, certified and credible platforms and content, you look at Coursera. You look at edX, you look at HBX. There are different platforms that are giving these courses out at no cost. You just need to create that time to use it. So for example, I remember when I was a student, we finish our class, we have assignments, we go home and we spend a lot of time. Then there was no TikTok and there was no Instagram. I think there was Facebook. So we were always looking at Facebook, chatting, Yahoo Messenger and all. I can imagine, okay, it's your time. You have about 3 hours. Sometimes you spend time just looking at TikTok. You're on the bed for up to 3 hours, 4 hours. If you can say, right, I want to look at TikTok, but let me look at it just for now. And after that 1 hour, let me spend 1 hour on Coursera, or let me spend 1 hour watching a YouTube video that has to do with how to use technology in drilling, how technology is used in drilling. there's so much videos and information out there that would even help your conversation. Is when we now go into specification, you would say, okay, maybe I need to invest some money, but no one asks a new grad for, do you have a certificate in this? What they are looking for is pass your fundamental exams, and then you are aware of what is going on in the industry in terms of technology development, even if you've not got opportunity. So if I'm recruiting today, I want someone that shows enthusiasm, that shows awareness of, oh my God, I've not got the opportunity to do this, but I'm very impressed about what is happening in this place. Then for those that have interest in coding, right, and in designing, and I want to encourage women to go into that space. And because that is a lot of money is in that space. Aside from that, a lot of influence is in that space. If you're able to participate in design, and if you're able to work with a male colleague and participate in design of a product, you can imagine how you would influence it, because no one is, should I say, the repertoire of all knowledge. So by the time more females start getting into this team of developers, this technology that is being developed now is able to solve some problems that only women experience, right? You're able to bring the diversity of your own intelligence into that program. For example, they said only 22% of artificial intelligence team have women. And we're going into the world of artificial intelligence now. So that means that if some data is put into an AI system to interpret, it can only interpret it based on what the people that developed it put in it. So if women are not contributing to the development of this kind of technology, then you can imagine all the problems and all the questions that would go unanswered when women ask it, because they were not part of the process. They were not part of the input. So let's apply our curiosity irrespective. There's also Girls Can Code. There's so many free programs. Get into it, start it. It's the affordability problem is not anymore, because now a lot of people are sponsoring is free. And this is a time where even if I was a guy now, I'd be feeling like, what's happening? Almost every women for. But women, are we taking advantage? And do we know that this era is actually a time that a lot of people are investing so that women can close the gap, and women and men can collaborate to create a better world? Do we understand that? So I hope that helps. According to trends in industry, please, which particular program or tech course is most vital? Thank you. So Victor, I cannot tell you which is most vital, but I've suggested some frames for you. Artificial intelligence is one that I think everybody after this call, go to YouTube and just type, what is artificial intelligence, or introduction to artificial intelligence, and start your journey from there. YouTube will always refer you to this or that, or go to Coursera or edX and just say, I just want an introduction to it. Okay, machine learning is another one, because what is just another level of artificial intelligence? It means you are teaching the machine that, okay, when I do my hand like this, it means I'm happy. And you already tell the machine, when I do like my hand like this, it means I'm happy. Anytime I wave my hand like this, the machine just says, Isioma is happy. So it's learning is that you teaching a machine to learn, literally, okay? Then there's the coding, the Python, the Alteryx, all those programming. That is actually the fundamentals of how some of the apps that we use are created. So if you are interested in developing apps and solutions, you need to learn coding language. And most of them are rooted in C++ and Fortran that we normally make fun of. But now coding is you can even design an app without knowing code, because there are some already, I forgot what they actually call them, some apps where you just drag and drop and it just does what you like. My daughter like Scratch. You just drag and drop and it, you automate what is happening, or it produces what you want. Then there's also the bit around automation. Automation is just fundamentally related to electronics control. It's related to electrical and all. It's just, but doing it in a software, they call it robotic process automation. So what we use currently now to simplify repetitive tasks. Repetitive tasks, remember the kind of tasks that you know that every day, by 7 o'clock, I need to submit this report. And you've been doing it for 10 years. and you know where you get the data. So to get the data from report, okay, you call Gloria, you call Carlo, so there are 3 steps you take to prepare that report and submit it by 7. Because it's repetitive, now the industry is moving towards automating those tasks. So they would rather just say, Gloria, Carlo, Loveline, put the data in this specific Excel sheet at 6 a.m. And they'll create a program that by 7 a.m., the program goes and picks all data and issues the report. So imagine if that is what has been paying Carlo's bill for 10 years. Now there's a robotic program that is doing it. Does that mean Carlo should Victor should get out of job? No. But if Victor is the one that knows how to automate it and has taught the program what to do, Victor retains his job because he will keep developing that program. Instead, Victor's brain is freed up as to what more tasks do I have to for this program to do, instead of calling Gloria and begging her, right? Or reminding this person. So Victor has freed up time to do more important things, right? That needs humans to do. I think the last thing I would also share in this opportunities in the industry, blockchain, right? A lot of people know about crypto because of money, Bitcoin, or we're trending. Some people that are interested in it, but blockchain is also a very interesting one, and a lot of people don't understand it. I don't currently fully understand it because in this digital and technology journey, you need to pick the one that you want to know and know well, and then you start moving. But I know what blockchain can do. Blockchain helps people optimize and optimize a lot better. You can find customers faster because it's not just in one region. In the markets in which it is being used in, it is used to create transparency and establish energy trade faster than other solutions out there. The applications are huge. It's still an emerging field. So if you understand it better, you may be able to use that. Lastly is the bit around cloud computing. Some people don't, this, it's storing on the cloud, is on Google Drive. Do you know where Google Drive is? Do you know where when they say it's on Google Drive, do you know where it is? All these are just in servers in different parts of the world, right? And that is cloud computing. You can store a huge amount of data in a place that is not dependent on your computer and access it fast. And you can also collaborate more effectively. So it can seem like a lot, but I would say that everyone should just have an introduction. They have your learning plan. Pick one of the fields you want to understand more. Understand it, and by the time you understand it, you now know if you want to go deeper and build competence in it, or if you're just interested in it. There are some that would bore you. There are some that will be interesting to you. For those that are interesting to you, then go further into it. Some of you will just know a bit about everything, and what you just need to understand is the industry use case. That how do this product solve an industry problem? You're not into developing the program, right? So that's fine, but you need to understand it. So thank you all. I want to check if there's another question. So someone said, I have a concern. Not everyone is a tech person. Some people can't get to understand the tech space. How else can these people make a valuable difference without tech? Honestly, I actually disagree with this statement because anybody studying petroleum engineering in the University of Port Harcourt can understand tech. Tech is not complex, like I said. No, it's okay. Let me not say it's not complex. It's a spectrum. You just need to find your place. So on this, I would say, just do what I said. Go to YouTube and say, how is tech used in the energy industry? You don't need to be a programmer. Yes, I agree with that. You don't need to be a programmer. You don't need to do code, of course. But as a petroleum engineering student, you need to understand that, oh, this is being used. This is how modern wells are being drilled. You do modeling. It's not the same modeling they do many years ago. Right now, for modeling, you maybe just need to click one thing to do. You need to write all the codes. So what is the definition of a tech person? A tech person is not only the person that produces the code and produces the app. A tech person is the person that knows how to use the app. For example, how many people know how mobile phones are created in your hand? Or does anyone know the code behind the Zoom we're using? I will ask a question. We are all on Zoom. How many of you understand how like how we are having this conversation on Zoom. And you don't need to. You don't need to, but you need to understand that, oh, if I want to collaborate, I can use Zoom to host a call for 100 people, right? And that in itself is an awareness, because there are some people that do not even know that you can use Zoom. They're still stuck in, I can only use WhatsApp call and call 4 people as a conference call. And it may be funny to you, but you're already privileged. You know that you can use Zoom, right? You don't need to get into developing the material. But some people, if you are curious and you want to like be part of that, so please, by all means, you can develop. I have mentioned this, girls can code. There are a lot of free coding programs, even aside from for women, even for Africans. There's this institute, ALS, right? The Rome, Fred Swire, follow them on LinkedIn. They are developing the next, the future workforce from Ghana. And they're developing all the Black male and female coders and programmers of the future. So you can follow them on Instagram. They are there. There are a lot of boot camps that are available now. But what I would advise is that please don't go into several, do one at a time. If digital marketing is something that is you're interested in, do that. After you do that, you can pick a next one. So what I would like you guys to commit to is to develop your own tech learning plan, and then get into circles with people that are interested in the same areas you're interested in. For those interested in developing coding skills, get together as a circle. For those interested in understanding how products are developed, get in a circle. For those interested in the use case in the industries, get in a circle, so that you can get that support and you guys can share resources and challenge one another, so that you, in the next 2 years, you guys are having access and getting the benefits of digitalization and technology, not only in your brain, but in your wallet too, okay? I hope that helps. Yes, data science is a path to go, right? Data science is a path to go, but as I would say, do an intro to data science course. If you enjoy it, if you find it interesting, go for it. But sometimes it doesn't have to be about enjoying and finding interesting. It also has to be about problem you want to solve in the future, the impact you want to make in the world. Some things are not enjoyable now, but because it will help you get to where you get in the future, you have to learn it. You have to learn it and do it. So you have to have that growth mindset, right? To make sure that if there's something you need to learn so that you can get what you need to get in the future, learn it, right? And that way you give yourself that muscle of learning, you know, and you're not just saying, oh, because I studied computer science, I didn't study statistics, then data science is too hard. Or when you feel a subject is too hard, then you run away from it. It actually unlocks more possibilities for you. Like right now, I'm working here. I'm not working in Nigeria, but that's because I've done so many things, learned so many things. I'm not just relying on what was taught to me by my company, or I'm not also relying to what was taught to me in university. Look ahead, you see opportunities, create a learning plan, and get people around you that are moving in that same direction. That'll keep encouraging one another, your peers. Find a mentor in that field too that can tell you, oh, this is the cost to do, this is a waste of time. So that you are not just open, okay? You are not just everywhere and nowhere. So I would advise you, don't feel overwhelmed. Pick your plan, create your learning plan, and gradually work it. And seek a mentor in that. If you see someone that is great in data science, send the person a LinkedIn message. I want to start. Where do I start from? There are so many courses, I'm confused. Where do I start from? And the person can recommend one. If it's something around blockchain, find someone on LinkedIn that says, I'm in the energy industry, I'm interested in blockchain, right? Please, where do I start from? You know, what course would you recommend? Those are the, you know, the things you can do. And in terms of earning money, virtual assistant roles are abundant. When it was ASU strike, a lot of people did not have money in between jobs. A lot of people are looking for virtual assistants. And before you can be a virtual assistant, you need to be able to understand the basic productivity tools, Google Drive, Canva, Calendly, all these. These are things that a lot of people pay up to 100,000, 150,000, 50,000 for virtual assistants now. And it's something that you work maybe only 3 or 4 hours a week. So we need to expand our mind at the possibilities that the digital and technology world has presented for this generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. There's one last question from Chinaza Ikoku. Data is crucial in developing machine learning models. Is the industry doing anything to make this data available for learning purpose?
Thank you, Chinaza. I think there's some open development platforms that give you data that give you data to help you train your models, right? Most of the industry real data is not available, but they are also using it, and some of this data is proprietary, right? But there are platforms that actually give you data that you can use to, like, what I call them, dummy data, you can use to train your model, right? But not live industry data, because of how of course, there's competition in the industry, and some of these proprietary and can be used for their privacy laws and all that around it. So it can become a competitive matter if they give you their live data. But there are platforms that have data, as I said, that you can use. Hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Ma, for this wonderful keynote address. You said so much, you shared so much knowledge. I will be grateful to hear you speak more in the panel session. So moving to the next agenda, that's the panel session. I'd like to introduce the moderator for this event, for this panel session rather. So Joy Ugoya is a petroleum engineer by discipline, and she works as a data scientist. Sorry, please, I'm having some issues. Okay, she's currently working as a data scientist at Tex Technical Consultants Limited. She specializes in developing artificial intelligence, machine learning research solutions for clients in oil and gas, geology, and even outside the energy industry. She's known for being an outstanding student and professional, a solution provider, and someone who loves to contribute her knowledge to the Society of Petroleum Engineers and other communities she identifies with. She has published 2 research works and delivered several projects within and outside the energy industry. Miss Joy Ugoya, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Thank you, Norma, for this introduction.
Thank you very much, Joy. You have the floor now. You'll be introducing the panelists.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Norma, once again. I hope we're having a great weekend. So as we all know, we're in the Women's Month, March every year, we celebrate Women's Month. And then for this year, we're with SPE UNIPORT is having a panel discussion to mark this. So this discussion is on embracing the power of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workspace. To create a truly inclusive world for women, we need equity. With equity, society can treat women fairly, give us the opportunity to thrive with our diverse backgrounds. So I'll be welcoming the panelists. So we have a lot of very interesting panelists from diverse backgrounds, women that have worked in different, in the industry from different perspectives for years of experience. So our first panelist we'll be introducing is Dr. Rita Okorafor. Dr. Rita Okorafor is an assistant professor at Texas A&M University. She's an assistant professor at Texas A&M University. Prior to this role and her PhD in geothermal energy at Stanford, Dr. Okorafor was a principal reservoir engineer with SLB, an organization she worked with for 13 years, supporting different product lines and locations. Dr. Okorafor is a Geothermal Rising Board of Directors and sits on the Geothermal Rising DEI Task Force. She was the founding member and former co-chair of the SPE Women in Energy Committee, now SPE DEI Committee, DEI Diversity equity and inclusion. Dr. Okorafor is an international and regional award recipient of the Society of Petroleum Engineers. She is an author of several technical papers and 2 US patents. Dr. Okorafor's research areas include geothermal reservoir engineering, carbon dioxide storage and utilization, geologic storage of hydrogen, and reservoir geomechanics. She is also an author of 2 novels. So that's a very interesting bio. Let's welcome Dr. Rita. Let's drop comments in the chat box, emojis, and everything in the chat box. So our next panelist is Engineer Dr. Odutola Toyin Olabisi. She is a senior lecturer at the Department of Petroleum and Gas Engineering and the Assistant Director of Emerald Institute, University of Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Nigeria. She obtained her bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso, Oyo State, Nigeria in 2006. She obtained a master's degree in petroleum engineering and from the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja, Nigeria, with a scholarship from the World Bank Institute and Nelson Mandela Institute in 2010. After completing a course on hydrates in flow assurance at the Center for Hydrate Research in Colorado School of Mines in the United States of America in 2012, she designed and fabricated the first hydrate flow loop in Nigeria while working as a research assistant at the Institute of Petroleum Studies, IPS, in 2014. Her outstanding research on hydrate prediction and management in offshore environments attracted sponsorship from Total Energies under the Education Partnership with the University of Port Harcourt in 2017. Dr. Odutola obtained a Doctor of Philosophy in Petroleum Engineering from the University of Port Harcourt with a full scholarship from the Petroleum Technology Development Fund. Dr. Odutola has served in the PTDF selection committee for the local scholarship scheme. She was a visiting scholar at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, United States of America, from February to July 2020, and obtained a Kaufman Teaching Certificate Program from the same institution. She is a fellow of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Empowering the Teachers Program, USA. She is a registered engineer with the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, a registered environmental specialist with the National Registry of Environmental Professionals. She's a corporate member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, a corporate member of the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers, a corporate member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, a corporate member of the Association of Professional Women Engineers in Nigeria, a member of the Association of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Trained African University Lecturers, and a member of the Organization for Women in Science in the Developing World. She enjoys volunteering with the Teenagers Outreach Ministries, and she hosts a monthly virtual mentorship program on Zoom for teenagers called Teens Hangout. She is happily married and blessed with children. So that's a very rich bio. Let's welcome Dr. Odutola to our panel session today. Let's drop some comments in the chat box, claps, emojis to welcome them. So today our topic is on DigitALL, embracing the power of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workforce. And our first question will be for Madam Isioma. Yes, so we heard her talk about, in fact, she shared a lot of very useful insights on the inclusion gap for women in the technology world today, and why it's important, actions we can take. And I believe we can already see that she's very packed and experienced with a lot of knowledge. So this first question is for you, Madam Isioma. How do you define equity, diversity, and inclusion? Why do you think these values are important in the workforce? The floor is yours.
So there are two questions there, and I think I think the simple analogy I'll use, I know most people talk about being being invited to dance, but I will just, a short story. Imagine living on a street and everyone on the street is, let's say in Nigeria, we're talking about Nigeria now, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, you have 10 houses on the street and everyone on that street is, let's say, Hausa. That's not diversity. But you have 10 houses on the street and you have a blend of Ibibio, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, all that. You can say that street, has the diversity, right, of the country, right? Inclusion is if one of the houses is having a party and invites everyone on the street to the party. Every child from every house on the street is invited to the party. And people can choose if they want to agree to go to the party or not, right? But exclusion is when you don't invite, you say, okay, I'm going to invite only these people from a specific tribe to the party. But if you say, I'm inviting everyone on the street, every home that has a child that is 5, I'm celebrating my child's 50th birthday, I'm inviting every child to this party, that's inclusion. But the last part about equity is, for example, imagine if people have different, their children with special needs. There's a child that is blind. There's a child that needs a wheelchair to come, right? Maybe a child that has some deformities, right? And an autistic child. Inclusion is when you know that a blind child is coming. So what you're going to do is you make sure that that blind child is also able to enjoy the party. The person has a guide. You make sure that when the person is walking into the place, if there are gaps in terms of the gutter, you put something across where the child can be led. You make sure that the child comes also with a minder, and then you have food provided for the minder. So imagine if a blind child is coming to the party, you invite the blind child to the party, and the minder also comes with this child, but you've calculated it in such a way that the minder cannot be fed. Do you think that the blind child is going to enjoy that party? Because you have not taken extra effort to make feel like he belongs there. So I think that in itself is when we talk about equity, right? So even if he has been included, you've invited him to the party, but you have not made it comfortable for him to enjoy the party like every other child. You have not, given them the support, giving him the guide and everything to get there. So that's a simple example of diversity, equity, and inclusion for me. I'm looking forward to learning from Dr. Rita and Dr. Toyin. Oh, why is it important to the industry? I cannot, should I say, underemphasize the importance of it. I think one interesting thing, or one interesting way that I would use to describe it. Imagine if women, people like Dr. Rita, Dr. Toyin, imagine them not being in the world they're in. They're not contributing to academia. They're not contributing their thoughts into what is going on, or they don't even have scientific knowledge to contribute beyond industry. Then we are losing out. So, for example, I'll give an example of myself. I trained as a production engineer, and it was traditionally known that women don't really like rotation jobs. When you have a family, you drop out of the rotation job. Most women drop out of rotation job in that. But I looked at the profile of everyone that had gone ahead of me, and I said, you know what? If I go through the comfortable path of dropping out, then there will definitely not be diversity. You can't make a change if you're out of the industry. I'm sorry. If you're not in the game, you can't make it. Just shout from the sidelines. But making the sacrifices, okay, I'm going to do this, get the right support system around, have my children, and was still doing my rotation job. And I was able to then be given the responsibility of being a production unit manager, responsible for 4 facilities across Nigeria Delta for producing oil and gas. It's not easy. It's normally male dominated. You would see why it's male, because it's very risky. We're having a lot of people, attending to our pipelines. You're having the community agitation, everything, and you're responsible for 150 people dispersed across the facility. But what that gave me is an opportunity for me to show a different kind of leadership that is not just guys that can actually run this thing. I may not be as brazen and like them, but I can deliver the same results with care. And what that meant for people, and bringing my own, me as a diverse leader into that space, it meant that people were able to make safer decisions, take thoughtful risk where they were not taking thoughtful risks before, they're just taking risks, but they don't understand the implication of the risks they are taking. So that's what diversity is, especially women. And when we lose that, you find out that we now fall prey to the flaws. And also, I don't agree that it's only all women. When we're in a group where we're all women, we're also missing something. There should always be diversity because we are not perfect thinkers. So if I think in a specific way and I have some flaws, Dr. Rita helped me fix it because she has a different background. She can bring her perspective. Dr. Tony, and I wish there was a Dr. Victor, something on this call. So bringing everything together, we're able to cover all aspects and all flows. So it is vital, and is vital for the industry and the performance of the industry, getting the best out of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. You're right, we're not all perfect thinkers. We need that diversity. Thank you for showing us with very simple example what this means and why it's important. So I would like to apologize to everyone here on behalf of Engineer Pringle Ebe. So he had to cancel at the last minute because due to some unforeseen circumstances beyond his control. But he sent his apologies, and hopefully next time he will be around to give us his own diverse perspective on a topic similar to this. All right, so the next question is for Dr. Rita. Dr. Rita, can you share some of the challenges that you have encountered in your career as a female professor and how you have managed these challenges?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So I know you asked me about my challenges as a female professor. I have been a female professor for only 6 months. So it's not the bulk of my career and my experience, and anything I say is limited. However, I've been in the industry for many years, and I can speak from that perspective. What are the challenges I have seen as a female? Before I do that, I just want to put a perspective that opened my eyes to DEI. During COVID, when we had to all shut in and stay indoors, I'm a mom. I have 3 daughters, 1 son. And it was then that I noticed my son was not mixing with his sisters. The things the sisters want to watch, he doesn't want to watch. The games the sisters want to play, he doesn't want to play. And so my son started retreating, staying away, didn't want to communicate with anybody because there was nobody like him. So it then reminded me of the need for diversity. It made me now picture myself in a situation where when we are fewer women in a male-dominated world, this is how some women retreat. Their full potential does not come out because of, the environment is not diverse and inclusive enough. Excuse me 1 second. So bringing this experience back, I have been an advocate for DEI in several things that I have done. When I recall my career in the petroleum industry, I will find myself in places where I am perhaps the only female, perhaps the only Black person. I'm usually alone. And because of that, I'm unable to speak out. I attended a meeting where it's with the drilling team. As you can imagine, the drilling team, they are full of male. And in that meeting, they had a problem. In that problem, they were trying to figure out how to maybe, do it, log a tool that would help them understand the pressures while they were drilling. And they talked about everything. All of them brought their ideas, and they couldn't find a solution. And then when we left the meeting, I spoke with my boss and I told him, how about if we do it in XYZ method? And my boss stopped. He looked at me. He said, Rita, so you had this solution all this time and you never said anything. That this solution in fact, this is the solution we have been looking for. I mean, he scolded me visibly, with so much anger. And I was like, women are not supposed to talk. We're not supposed to contribute in this male dominated industry. So, you know, the voice of the woman is usually shut down when you try to talk. It's like, what is this one saying? But what I have found out is that if you know your onions, if you know what you're talking about, the moment you open your mouth to talk, people will listen to you. And that is when women can make change. So in terms of the kind of challenges that I have seen, you know, I have seen cases where there is usually, you know, fewer opportunities for women because, you know, everything is tailored towards the way the men have been doing it. I have seen situations where women don't even try to get promoted because they don't want additional responsibilities that would affect their personal and private life. And I have also seen cases where men that are less competent than women, I'm not trying to insult anybody, they go ahead to, you know, request for promotions, they go ahead to, you know, apply, whereas the women are waiting for things to be perfect before they do it. Like if there's a checklist of 10 things to do, a man is very bold to go with his 6. After all, I've achieved 6 of these 10 things, you know, so please give me my promotion. But a woman will wait and say, okay, let me complete all these 10 whenever, you know, even if I have to go for maternity leave, come back before I apply. And that's increases the gap between, you know, where men are and where women are in the industry. So this is just the kind of challenges that I've seen. And then observing how it has impacted a lot of women while I was in the industry, I decided to, you know, speak to women about how they can overcome their fear, overcome their, you know, their inability to speak up, to put a voice on the table, because when they don't create avenues for other people who will be coming behind them. So thank you. I hope that is helpful.
Yes, Dr. Rita, much for your insights. I love how you've shared like your real life challenges. These are things that a lot of women face in today's industries. Even when we manage to find ourselves inside, it's still difficult to fully express ourselves and give our potential to our team. So thank you for highlighting your challenges and how you've been able to overcome them. Okay, the next question is for Dr. Toyin. Dr. Toyin, how can female students prepare themselves to work in diverse teams? So as we know, this program is for students. Of course, we know we have people that are not students here, but specifically for female students, how do they prepare themselves to work in diverse teams and engage effectively with colleagues from different backgrounds?
Thank you very much, Joy, and good morning to my fellow panelists, Dr. Rita and Isioma, and good morning to the students as well and everybody on this call. Thank you for the question. Now you're asking about how female students can prepare themselves for diverse teams. Okay, so when Isioma was speaking, she already told us about how we should skill up as ladies, as girls, you know, so that's one of the ways we can prepare ourselves to work in diverse teams. So you have to have the skills, you have to have the soft skill as well. You need to know how to collaborate, you know, because you're working with people with different ways of thinking. And since you're talking about students, I would like to talk about how we constitute groups in schools, in our universities. Most times when there's a group, who will likely be chosen as the group leader, male or female?
Male.
Thank you. Who will be chosen as the note taker, the secretary, male or female?
Female.
So we already have these gender roles in our teams, and with this we are already limiting the guys too, because we are not letting them develop skills in administrative duties, like maybe in secretarial duties like writing notes and being able to summarize properly. And at the same time, we're also limiting the females, because we are making them feel they shouldn't be leaders. So one of the things you can do to prepare yourself to work in diverse teams is by rotating, you know, those group roles. You know, when you have a group project that maybe meant to last for 3 months, you can, if there are 6 of you in the group, you can rotate the roles. So this week, this person is our team lead. The following week, this person should be the note taker. You know, the roles are going around, and everybody's getting the skill. Everybody is building on some specific skills that they would be able to apply in future to work in diverse teams. Also, in school, I know that you do some engineering courses, and you do engineering projects, right? I think there's an engineering project you do in the workshop. Okay, it's still based on departments, but you can also join groups like NUESA. You know, when you're in NUESA, you get to work with different engineers that think differently. You know, you're not just looking at, even in, I know I teach fluid mechanics, and in fluid mechanics, it's not just petroleum engineering. There are other engineering courses that take other engineering courses that students that take that particular course. And, you know, when you take such courses, you should, when you interact with your mates, your classmates, and you try to maybe solve a particular problem, you can start bringing in examples from your different fields. So you talk about how you view, maybe how you're viewing this particular aspect of fluid mechanics in petroleum engineering. The civil engineer is talking about how they apply these principles of fluid mechanics in their field. So in that way, you're getting multiple views of how this particular thing can be applied in future. And that also makes you know that it's not just about what you know. You need to learn to accommodate what others know too. And you'd also need to have an open mind when you're in a diverse team. So you're not coming in with, oh, I know it all. This is how it must be. You should be willing to listen to the opinions of others. I also like to talk about how we constitute groups, because constituting groups, I know that will help when we start constituting groups from university. It helps with your collaboration skills and how you eventually work in teams outside the university. So most times, if we tell the students, go and constitute the groups by yourself, all of you would choose yourselves. You know, you choose the very bright ones will stay together, leaving the dull ones on their own. And with that, you're being biased. You know, I don't think anybody is very bright and anybody is very dull. It could just be that these people have very good skills in maybe mathematics or petroleum engineering, but you do not know their strengths. They could have strengths in other areas that are useful for the team. But because you feel, oh, yes, I want to do this very well, I want to do it fast, I don't want to bring in so and so person, the person didn't make an A in this course, let all A students stay in the same group, all C students stay in the same group. With that, you're not learning how to work in diverse teams, because in diverse teams, you have people with different strengths. So when you constitute the group properly, having people with different academic strengths, you know, and you share the task in such a way that everybody is contributing in one way or the other, even those you feel do not have anything to contribute, you'll be shocked that when you get them involved and you give them roles, they would work hard at it. And with that, you're also learning from them. They will come up with perspectives that you never knew existed. So this person actually thought of this. There was a time I had project students, and there was one particular one who to me didn't look serious, you know, but what I usually do, I send all my project students to the lab. So I sent them all there. I said, just move around the loop, do something. The person that, to me, in my own opinion, the person that gave the most intelligent contribution in that team was the one I had initially told myself that he's not a serious student, and his grades was showing that he wasn't that, you know, he didn't really have very good grades like the others, but he had very, very, very good contributions to make that made the project a huge success. So for you to prepare yourself to work in diverse teams, you have to start now in school. So don't have biases against your classmates that, oh, this one, especially when they tell you to work in a team, you're already choosing, I want to work with so and so, this person has an A in this, I want to work with this. You should learn to work with everybody and rotate the roles as well. Don't just give all maybe the very technical things. If most times when we tell you to present in class, the female will give the introduction. Then when it comes to methodology and what was done, that will be the male. Then when it comes to conclusion, the female will come and conclude. You know, we need to change this even in the roles in the projects we do in school. So even when you have your little team, you need to be deliberate about it. Now you've listened to all these talks, you need to be deliberate about it. So when you're even planning on the presentation, make sure you're giving some technical roles to the female, and so that they are not feeling like, oh, our own role is just to take conclusion and recommendation, or our role is just to take introduction. Then let's leave the hard stuff for the guys. So these are ways you can help prepare yourself to work in diverse teams. Thank you. I see that Isioma's hand is up.
Wow, thank you so much for that.
Dr. I wanted to contribute to that because you really hit on the nail around the group dynamics at school. And just to bring even the workplace situation, a very key thing is to look at yourself, even as a student, and ask yourself, you know, what am I good at? And sometimes be okay with playing a role in a place that you're not so good, because as a student, you should not already define yourself as, this is my strength, this is my only area, and just continue doing that. This is a time for you to be flexible, to be able to move across roles and then really learn. You're in a learning phase. Put yourself in sometimes uncomfortable situations to you. Because you don't really understand methodology, doesn't mean you should go with it. All it means is learn how to, you know, present, learn how to communicate that, right? This is a safe, I think any year you make as a student is still like the safest place you can feel. Nobody is going to really die or anything. So please, leverage on the time you have as a student to try the different parts of you, and don't let anyone box into a corner. Then another thing about working in diverse team is curiosity. I think it's very important that you are curious about others on your team. And that helps you tackle your bias. It helps you, oh, why is this guy saying this way? I know, like in Uniben, we used to do arguments. You have not listened, but you're already arguing because you already have a position. So when working in a diverse team, you have to be intentional about listening and being curious. So more than speaking and advocacy, you need to be asking questions. Why do you say that? Can you show me? What do you think? How did you get to this conclusion? When you listen to other people, the likelihood that you get your chance for them to listen to you is higher. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In fact, one thing I love about this panel session today is how our panelists are giving us real life insights to things. Like Madam Isioma said, she said, if we don't have diversity, we're going to miss out on a lot. If Dr. Toyin was not given an opportunity to be a researcher, then we won't have the first hydrate loop in Nigeria. So in fact, everything you have said is spot on. You know, there was one thing that Dr. Toyin said that brought back a childhood memory for me. So when she talked about how automatically, if a leadership role should be given, it wants to be given, it will automatically be given to the male. So I remember when I was in secondary school, and we had a class representative that was very, very, in fact, he was so nonchalant. He was making all of us miss out on a lot of things. And we decided to have a class meeting and change him. And in changing him now, everyone was to suggest someone. And funny enough, a female was suggested. That female was my friend. And then one guy there just said, let me speak the pidgin English, because that was how he said, you say, how woman go be our class rep. From that moment, that was the moment that I got very, very interested in diversity and inclusion in any space I find myself, because to me, I could not believe that his automatic thinking was that for the fact that she's a female, irrespective of her qualities, she had no right being our leader. Now, the thing is that day I took it so personal, and I made sure that I did everything possible for her to be the leader. And the funny thing is that after she became our leader, a lot of things changed positively. In fact, everyone grew to love her, including that guy. I hope maybe that particular situation experience changed his perspective on things. So Dr. Toyin has highlighted that we need to skill up as females. We need to drop our biases and intentionally try to pay attention to other people when we find ourselves in teams, and we need to challenge ourselves, take up rules that are not what people have traditionally decided are for us. Women should be, even as the males in this meeting, I know there are males here too, don't just decide automatically that women should be the note takers or women should just be at the background. Let us all give ourselves chances to discover those hidden talents we have in us. Okay, so this next question is for you, Isioma. So what steps can employers take to become better allies and advocates for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workspace? Are there any resources or training programs that you would recommend?
So I think what employers have been getting a lot of push these days, and there are steps that they can take, and there are steps they are already taking, and there are steps that they need to take. So some steps that they can say is that they are taking. One is in the recruitment and attraction of females into the industry, right? So you see more employers really going to school, coming to the university to attract women. And normally before, they used to go with like the recruiter, right? And so most people would just feel like, okay, if I'm working in oil and gas industry, it's just HR or legal, it's just the soft admin job. They would never bring the female engineers to the campus. So what employers are trying to do now is bring more of the female engineers to the campus. So they'll bring one man, one woman, so that people can see themselves in the industry. It's important. And I think what the world is also doing now, there's a push for female visibility. So I've never met, I don't know Dr. Rita personally, but I know her on LinkedIn. So there's a push for female visibility. And that in itself is helping people see that, okay, even if I'm not working on a rig or I'm not working, I can actually, be in academia and also be contributing to industry. I can do this. I can even be on the rig. Like I can be like Isioma, I can be a production unit manager, which is not a rig job. Most people feel it's a rig job, but it's not a rig job. But yeah, so they're doing that. So for example, I can talk about Shell. Shell has a crèche for women, like for more staff that have kids. And once your kid is, a baby, you can bring your baby to work and there's a crèche there. And so that means that you don't have to think about that breastfeeding. I need to go home, I need to do this, and I need to do that. Now they've also done a second thing, paternity leave for men. Men need to be able to participate and be with their wives and be with family when the child comes. So now men are getting up to 2 months paternity leave. They're able to stay at home, they're able to support their family and all that. So that's very important. What the industry can do, when men and women go away, there needs to be more support when they're coming back. The industry is not doing enough with that. And I think that also led me to the work I do with Blazers and Babies. So 8 years, now almost 10 years ago, I had my first child. And I came back to work. Even during the pregnancy, it was like clueless. My boss was just like, oh my God, why? You've made things hard. Now, how will I plan your rotation? He found it stressful. And honestly, for my first child, I was crying because I was just like, what have I done? Because I had finished school, I got this good job. And now my pregnancy seems like a burden. And this is being actually expressed to me, So you can imagine how many women face that. Some people would go, maybe probably abort their child or something because they're like, no, I can't risk losing this job. But there's some biases we had then that, the people in the industry, they don't know how heavy the statements they make, body language can be to the decision of women. So there's that need to improve that, and I would also say how that can be improved. Then there's for the male colleagues. Some of the male colleagues feel so intimidated by all this attention women are getting. So we need to employers need to actually work with the male to say, it's not about you. It's about a long problem even before you got born, right? And we actually want to get the best. We need the best the best out of the male and the best out of the female. A short example I'll give you. I was trying to push for helping women and people that have to leave the field. I was a field role, people that have to leave the field, making sure that when the women leave the field because they are nursing their children and all that, after 3 or 4 years, they're able to come back and they don't miss out on promotions. They're able to be equally competent and all that. So I was working on that framework with HR and everything. You would not believe, by the time we finished that framework work, the people that benefited the most out of that framework were men. So men that had some of them had medical needs, some of them had maybe their wives had died. So needs, they're the ones who ended up benefiting from that problem. I now found out that at the end of the day, you think you're solving a woman problem, but you're actually solving a human problem. It's not a woman's problem. So even the whole thing about flexibility, men are also enjoying it. It helps the workplace better, being able to say, I don't feel good, because men sometimes also mentally, they don't feel good. It's not only period that affects the head. Sometimes there's a lot of stress. Being able to say, I don't feel good today, and it's now a normal thing in some workplaces because of the mental health awareness and work flexibility. What can employers do in terms of where can they get resources? I will always refer to Leaning. I really love Leaning because Leaning actually provides free resources. There is the 50 ways to fight bias training. I believe that all companies should go through that training, take even academia, take lecturers through that training, take students through that training, take supervisors through that training, 50 ways to fight bias, because it shows the examples of how bias plays out that you may have missed, and it now tells you how to respond in an unbiased way. Then there's also the allyship training. This is recommended for people in positions of power and privilege. If you're in a position of power and privilege, almost all of us, we identified it at the beginning of the call, we're in a position of power and privilege because we're on this call. Being able to see your power and privilege and use for someone that doesn't have that power and privilege, that is the key for that allyship training. So those are 2 resources I would recommend. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ma. Please, how can we access the Leaning, the resources from Leaning?
I will share the link with Gloria.
All right, thank you. So, you brought to light a lot of very, very important things. In fact, the points you've made are very heavy. And you talked about how, I love what Shell is doing. I believe that a lot of technology companies and engineering companies are also adopting things like that, like frameworks that let women bring their children to the workplace and make provisions for where the children can be kept. Like, I'm just starting out my career, and I've been thinking, like, how do I plan my life in a way that I can have children and still progress in my career? And I'm so happy to hear that this is actually a possibility. So we don't have to make tough decisions, because it's natural to have children. If we don't give birth to children, who will be the engineers of tomorrow? So having children is as important as working. So, and thank you for everything you've shared so far. I'm really enjoying this panel session, honestly, and I believe that everyone else in the chat box is enjoying, the audience is enjoying this session as well. So you can just drop some emojis. Remember to drop your comments and your questions in the chat box so we can answer at the end of this panel session. All right, so Dr. Rita, this next question is for you. And by the way, Madam Isioma said she has not met you in person before, but she knows you on LinkedIn. So maybe we'll arrange for both of you to meet in person so that we can have, in fact, more, by the time we join the ideas together, we cannot imagine what will come out. So Dr. Rita, in your opinion, what are some of the most effective strategies that individuals and organizations can adopt to create a more inclusive workplace environment?
So Isioma has talked about some of the initiatives that companies are doing, to make places more inclusive. And when she talked about, her boss, feeling stressed because she was pregnant, I really could understand. It even starts with the language, what people speak, what people say. I remember once that I was supposed to take on a role, and we had a new boss, and he found out that I was pregnant. It was very, very bad. It was very rough for me just because of that. It was very visible. So, those kind of things, the kind of language that people speak, especially to the employees, it needs to be cautioned. So that's one of the things that, there should be policies in place on how you speak to employees concerning their situation, because you don't even know what the person is going through before they got to the situation that they are in, okay? Then talking about accessibility, You know, previously, somebody that has a disability is considered useless. But I mean, if something happens to your hand, it doesn't mean that it happens to the brain. And so people can still contribute if they have some sort of disability. Some disabilities can be physical, some can be non-physical. And I would talk about the non-physical, you know, by virtue of being in academia. And so making places where there is ramp for wheelchair, the table that the person is going to work with is easy considering their situation, or somebody could just have fallen ill, have a temporary ailment that does not allow them to work fully, but being able to say, okay, you can come back to work, these are the accommodations we would make for you, is very vital. And people are very loyal when somebody, you know, when somebody considers their situation. That's how you make retention. That's how you cause retention. We try to attract people of diverse groups, ethnicity, gender, etc. But the key is not just in attracting, it's retaining them. So we need to do as much as possible to be able to retain them, whatever it is. Okay, I wouldn't talk about the breastfeeding and all that because that's one is part of you know, accessibility and accommodations specifically for women. Okay. Then when we talk about the non-physical disabilities, you know, I've been in situations where when we teach, they tell us to make accommodations for people who, they may not have physical disabilities, but they have other learning disabilities. Let me not even call it disability because everybody learns in a different way. And just by virtue of putting such things in place, such as extra time, first of all, they will do an assessment to confirm that this person has this kind of disability. And then these are the kind of accommodations that the person needs. People have extra time to write exams, to do homework, to do tests. And so when you are comparing people, the way we normally do it, oh, this person got an A, you set one exam, everybody finishes in 1 hour, you grade them. But there are some people who are slower. And if you cannot take into consideration the fact that some people are slower because of some, you know, health issues, then you are losing in the abilities that that person can bring. I remember in one of the classes that I was teaching, there is somebody that was considered not able, you know, he has a disability. And I gave a test in class. It was this kind of Kahoot test, so people use fake names and all of that. The person that was the highest in my Kahoot quiz was that one that was considered having a disability. So, you know, when we don't make accommodations for people, we lose out in their gifts, their talents, and their other abilities, okay? The other thing I'll talk about is mentorship. Many women have dropped out of the industry because they have not seen people to look up to. They have not seen people that they can talk to and say, this is my problem. They have not seen people that can say, I have been there before, and this is how I overcame it. And so making deliberate actions towards mentorship for underrepresented gender, races, ethnicity, whatever, is really going to help in not just attracting, but retaining these people. And so companies can be very deliberate about how they do their mentorship, assigning people, you know, a manager, a female manager to an upcoming female engineer is very helpful, okay, in terms of mentorship. And then other things that people could do is to take actions when something goes wrong. Women, they said, you know, there's a statistics that says that 1 out of every 10 women is harassed in the workplace, even though I believe that that number is much higher. Now, what are the actions that people are taking? So there are companies that have harassment policies, not just the sexual harassment, but all other kinds of harassment, you know, people using wrong languages towards people. It may be non-physical, verbal harassment, and all those kind of things. So companies have been putting in place some of these things. There's still more work to be done because there's always the fear of, if I go and report, what happens to me? They will know I'm the one that reported. And, you know, everybody will hate me, the company, and things like that. So it's making it safe enough for people to report the issues they are going through, and then also making it such that actions are taken so that it's not repeated the next time. I mean, the actions are open. We fired this person or we demoted this person, because of XYZ actions. And so when companies are doing that, they can continue to do more in that place to make it safe for people to actually, be comfortable to be who they truly are in the workplace. Thank you. Isioma, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, Ruth, I wanted to add, especially when you talked about harassment and words, and women also perpetrate that, some bullying, some words, even to men. I've seen a man cry at work because of what a woman says. So as I said, all these nice stuff you say, sometimes you think we're solving it's human, is a human problem, and we need to fix it on both sides. And one key leverage, just to add to what Dr. Rita said, is a woman that is skilled and well networked always has a choice. So even if you report and they try to victimize you, because you are skilled and you're well networked, you can leave that company. There's always a company for you. I think in Nigeria, especially because of our population and the unemployment rate, get into a position where you look at work, do or die, I have to manage it. This is the only one I've got. These ladies, get skilled, get worked. If they are harassing you in one place, report. And if it doesn't change, move. You can move. But the key to moving is your skill needs to be good, and you have to have network. Having skill enough alone is not enough. You need to network. The guys are networking on football pitches and all that. Find a way to network, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Rita, for the points you've shared. I think these are very, very key points that you've raised, and I hope that everyone is taking notes. I hope the audience is taking notes. I hope we also have stakeholders in the industry taking note of all these points to implement them. Even we as students, when we find ourselves in those positions where we can implement these points, because obviously we'll find ourselves, even if not today, there's someday. I hope that we can bring to mind that we don't need to allow harassment of people. We need to at least make room for everyone to, when you treat people equally, when you treat people with different disabilities or different diverse backgrounds in a way that is good for them, get their loyalty, and you're able to retain them and get the best of their potential. All right, so this next question is for Dr. Toyin. So Dr. Toyin, what can students do to promote equity, diversity, and inclusion in the workforce? And what specific actions can they take to make a difference?
Okay, thank you for the question. So in the workforce, students are not working yet. So I think we should be looking at what they can do to promote equity, diversity, and inclusion while being students before they head over to the workforce. I would say one should be attend seminars like this, understand why it is important to have equity, diversity, and inclusion in the workspace. So if you from even what our keynote speaker told us, she told us about the merits of having all of these. When there are more, when there's a diverse workspace, the female perspective is being noted, the male perspective is being noted. It's not just, and when she was talking, she talked about artificial intelligence, the amount of how few the females are in it now, and how if we do not change that, all the products that will be coming up from the artificial intelligence space will be based on what the men are thinking, and how it promotes whatever they want. So we need to have this kind of talks, attend this kind of talks, and understand that it is very important for females to be included in the workforce, in every aspect of the workforce. So after knowing the importance, it's for you to plan how to make that happen. So from school, you should already have that in your different organizations. I know you have the SPE organization, WESA, and several organizations. You should make sure that in those organizations that you're constituting, your organizations are promoting equity, diversity, and inclusion. And I already talked about gender roles. You need to cut down on gender roles, the traditional gender roles. You know, you need to make it easy for students to gain several skills in spite of their gender. So while you're limiting the guys from taking those note-taking jobs, you're also limiting them from gaining those skills. So, and you're also not being, you're depriving them of gaining those skills. And at the same time, that's not an inclusive environment. You need to be able to help them to gain all the skills that they need to learn. Also, when Isioma was talking, I know she talked about how someone said something about how technology was not for technology. The person is not a tech person or whatever. Now, technology can be applied in all fields. So since we are talking about DigitALL, you need to change that mindset that it's for a particular gender, or it's that some people are more tech savvy than the others. There are different ways you can apply technology, and you need to know that first and look for technologies that you can apply in your field. For instance, myself, when I had the opportunity of going to MIT, it was even during COVID. So because of the COVID, we couldn't learn in class. We were supposed to be auditing courses. So we sat down in the class and watched the professors teaching. And all of a sudden, I think like 4 weeks or 5 weeks into the program, COVID happened, the universities were shut down, and we had to learn online. So, and the program made us teach too. So I was meant to teach a class in MIT, but because of COVID, I couldn't teach a physical class, so I had to teach online. But all those helped me to learn how to teach online and how to have an interactive class online. So when I got back to Nigeria, it was easy for me to just say, okay, well, I'm back, so let's switch back to our normal way of doing things. But I remember that year, I think the 300 level class, I wrote them, I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We are going to use a particular way for collaboration. I think it was jigsaw activity. I even sent them the YouTube video. I gave them things to read. These people didn't read it, you know, they took it as a joke and all of that. But eventually, I moved over to the postgraduate students. Postgraduate students, I told them that, look, they complained, we don't want to learn online and all of that. I said, okay, what's your reason? So I saw some of the things that were being done in MIT to create an inclusive environment. I saw that they would always share surveys, you know, to know what people's perspectives are about a particular issue. So I had to ask them, okay, what are your reasons? Why do you think you cannot learn online? So I sent out a Google form. They said they gave their responses. I also wrote them about what I asked about the activities they do online and how long they stay online. And then they responded. So I now had the first meeting with them. I said, okay, if you could spend so and so time on YouTube or on Facebook, that means you can learn online as well. You know, so eventually we had the first class online, and eventually they even loved it. They loved it more than the physical classes. So, and I brought up some of the other things I saw, which was like using a Google Classroom. In MIT, it wasn't Google Classroom they were using, but what I could use here was Google Classroom, posting the materials online, having this virtual interaction with the lecturer, and the students were very, they loved it. They were like, oh, this is really nice. So we need to be open-minded, not, you know, feel like, okay, things cannot change here. We have to, we cannot change things here. We have to follow the trend. We have to follow the traditional way. We cannot change anything. It just has to be the way it has always been. We need to be open-minded. When we understand the importance of equity, diversity, and inclusion, it's easy for us to embrace it. It's easy for us to accept it. It's easy for us to enforce it, even in our workplace and in our school as well. So while we are constituting our groups again, I say keep thinking about it. How inclusive is this group? Am I letting everybody learn? Am I letting everybody develop the skills? Everybody develop leadership skills, secretariat secretarial skills, not just a particular set of people are developing these skills. And even in constituting our groups, we know that in Nigeria, there are a lot of tribes, there are different tribes, and we need to make sure that our groups are also representing the different tribes, and such that people are learning how to work in a diverse environment. And then if it's a group that involves not just engineers, maybe it's a team that you have to work with engineers, people in social sciences, make sure that you mix the group properly. So it's not just you're having an engineering group here, and then the social scientists should be doing their own thing by themselves. You need to look for a way of making people mix and learn from each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that very insightful answer. So I hope everyone in the audience is paying attention, because these points that are being made are very, very important points. So we've talked about what the students can do. Now let's talk about what women in the industry can do. This question is still for you, Dr. Toyin. How can women in the industry advocate for and create more inclusive and equitable workspaces, even if their employers do not prioritize these values?
Okay, thank you for that question again. So women in the industry can advocate for and create more inclusive workspaces by doing this, like what we are doing now, sharing our stories. You've heard from Dr. Rita, you've heard from Isioma, you've heard from me. And I believe this will inspire you to know that, okay, it's actually possible for me to work as a female, to work in a male-dominated field and do well, because these women have done well or are doing well. So that is already making you know that it's not impossible. It's possible for me to work and do well in a male-dominated space, or work in a workplace, since we are pushing for more females to be in this field. So we no longer refer them, so that we no longer refer to them as male-dominated workspaces. And even if the employers are not prioritizing these values of women, we as women keep rising, like Dr. Isioma told us about how she made a policy. She tried to push for a particular policy where people could come back to the field after work, after raising or after having their children. You know, it was because she rose to the position where she could make those changes that she started trying to implement those changes. So some of us have seen some challenges even while at our career. You know, I know what I faced, I know what I went through. And when I get to places where I can change certain things, you know, I will change those things so that other women do not have to, you know, go through such experiences, or it's an easier path for other women to pass through. Also, I would say women in the industry can also lift other women up, raise other women. I joined a group I think it was in 2020, 2021 or 2022 in the University of Port Harcourt, Organization for Women, excuse me, Organization for Women Scientists in Developing Countries. You know, our president is Dr. Ikeria Nwachi. And I joined the group, and to me, the group made a huge difference in my career. I've been in Uniport for a while. I've been very quiet. I don't say much, you know, but I joined and I saw very vocal women. They'll speak about anything they do, you know, and, you know, they celebrate each other's success. If it's even just what you feel is not even that important, the way everybody will celebrate it on the WhatsApp group, you know. And to me, joining this group changed my career. It improved my career. Last year, a lot of great things happened for me in Uniport, and I've just been in the group for about a year, you know. But I saw the group helps our visibility. So because of the group, some women knew what I had done in the past, like the loop and all of that. There was a program coming up on patents and patents and what's it called? Property, IPPTO, intellectual property in university. Okay, so we were talking about how to write patents and how to protect your intellectual properties. So one of the professors in the team is a member of OWSD. And then she said, you must invite Toyin. Toyin must be a speaker. By the time I got the call, I was like, how? I was wondering who put my name in this, because I was looking at the others on the flyer. I saw former vice chancellors, like 2 former vice chancellors. When I looked at the list, I was like the youngest there. So, but the day we started the program, as I sat down there and they introduced the committee that set up the program. Once I heard her name and I saw her, I knew she was the one. You know, so this is how women can also help to advance so she's already trying to help lift me up from where I am to somewhere higher. And this is one of the ways that we can help to create a more inclusive workspace by lifting other women up. And I already talked about sharing our stories. Also, when we talk about inclusive workspaces, we should also be considerate of the men, the things we are asking for. I'm glad that Isioma said the men are also benefiting from it. The things we're asking for, we should also be open to having the men benefit from it. We shouldn't say, no, it's just strictly for men. I know most times in the past, there have been restrictions on, oh, you got pregnant, oh, we can't employ you because you're pregnant and all of that. So perhaps that's why there was so much talk about women being included, and all the biases against women should be dropped. I'm glad to know that men are now having paternity leaves as long as 2 months. And I hope that that continues so that we are not just saying, oh, the leave should be for women, give us more time, give us more time. Also, in the workspace, I know because most times women are the ones that are at home taking care of the children. We should try to make the workspace more inclusive in such a way that women are able to go home, flexible work hours, you know, able to go home to take care of the children. I'm also glad that this is happening and that men are also benefiting from it. So it's not just women that are able to go home and or have flexible work hours. Men are also gaining from it. Okay, so in summary, women, we can help to advance a more inclusive environment by sharing our stories like we are doing already, and then by lifting other women up, and by when we rise to the positions of changing some things that will benefit the younger women that are coming up, we should change those things so that eventually we are having a more inclusive environment, work environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma, for doing your own part to create a more inclusive environment. Thank you for sharing your story with us. So I'm really enjoying this session. There's some discussion in the chat box, but that chat box is not looking very diverse. I'm seeing only men asking questions and our panelists answering. So women, let's also show our presence in the chat box. Let's drop our comments. I know some of us have something is going through our mind. Nobody is going to criticize your question or your comments. Just say it out so that people can share their perspectives. Thank you. So we're gradually coming to the end of our panel session. Dr. Rita, we want to know what is the importance of allyship in creating a more diverse and inclusive workplace, and how can individuals become effective allies to their colleagues from underrepresented backgrounds? So unfortunately, the male panelists couldn't make it, but I think you can give us some insight on their role in this battle of equity and inclusion and diversity.
Okay, so an ally is different from a mentor. An ally is someone that, you know, sits in a place of power, position, and has influence. And imagine that, you know, women have a challenge and they don't have somebody at the top to speak for them. I mean, you put all the policies in place, it's not going to be approved. So it's very important for us to have allies, you know, people who advocate for you, people who will give the approval, people who will see something that is wrong and will be able to speak up, knowing that the underrepresented person cannot speak up. And even if the underrepresented person cannot speaks up, nobody will listen. You understand? We need allies because These are people that are in the circle of, so let me just use race, for instance. I think it's easier. Let me leave gender aside. You have a group of white people, and then you have Black people, maybe a few Black people in the office. No matter what the Black people do, if the white person, one white person at the top cannot speak up, endorse, approve, nobody else in that white group is going to listen. So we need allies, people that can stand up for those who are underrepresented. And I'm going to give, an example. And I recall there was a time when I was, in the workplace, there are usually ups and downs in the oil and gas industry, and they wanted to let go of some people. There was a role that came up, and somebody suggested, let's give this role to Rita. They told me this role was there, but all the time, nobody said, Rita, take a letter, go and take this job. It kept on dragging and dragging for 3 months. I was now feeling very irrelevant and useless in the company. I was coming, they were paying me salary, right? But I did not have a position. And so I talked to so many people in my circle, complained. It was not going anywhere. Then I spoke up. I went and spoke to somebody whom I call, today I call him my mentor, but then he was an ally because he was in headquarters. And I told him, this is what I'm facing. This is what, I don't understand what the issue is. I cannot get this position that they say is open for me. They have somebody else there, all of that. It was that person that went and spoke on my behalf and said, this person is struggling. We're going to lose this person. This person is a talent. If this person feels demotivated, the person is going to go. Without him going to speak on my behalf, nothing would have changed. Everything was just stagnant. So we need people who can, speak on behalf of others, because the voices of the underrepresented, they don't go anywhere. There's just a barrier that can go. We need people who will say, this thing is wrong, and let us make a change. So there are very, very important people that we need in the organization. Last year, I hosted a panel on the role of mentorship, allyship, and sponsorship. And we found out that allies, you have them at different levels. You have them at the level of your peers, right? Within your peers, if the guys see that the female students are being cheated, are being, harassed by their lecturers, is the allies are those guys in your class that can speak up and say, no, professors, we don't like the way you're treating the women in our class. And in the workplace as well, your colleagues, the Black versus the white, the guys versus the females, the able versus the disabled. So everybody has different things that make them diverse or different. So, but the minority people, if they have somebody on the other side that is able to speak for them, advocate for them, stand up for them, those people are the ones that make a lot of difference. Okay.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. I hope that the people in the audience, me personally, in fact, I feel whenever I find myself, any situation I find myself, if I can be an ally to someone that deserves it, that is in underrepresented background, I feel I want to do that. I believe that in this world, we get what we give. So if you want someone to be able to speak up for you when you need it, then wherever you find yourself, you should be able to speak up for someone that is a minority or underrepresented to them, so that one day it can come back to you. So thank you so much for that. Now we'll be taking the last question on this panel discussion, and that question is for Madam Isioma. So in your keynote speech, you already talked about this point, but I just wanted to give like a summary, a concluding remark on it. So what are some of the key trends or changes that you see shaping the future of your industry? And how can women position themselves to take advantage of these opportunities? I know you've highlighted some as tech skills and things of that area. So please just give us a summary or an overview of it.
Oh, I almost everyone on this call is already doing an engineering subject, so just know you have an advantage. We talked about the digitalization and innovation, from those people creating the opportunities in being a creator to the opportunities in being a user. And of course, the bridge between that is the awareness and your interest. Where do you want to play in? Okay. And then there's the opportunity on being a moderator. I wanted to talk about that one. Moderator is someone that actually looks at these tools and see if these tools are causing negative impacts, right? It's almost like an ethical moderator of the tool. If it's causing negative impact, for example, we are so excited about chat rooms and all, but we know that women are victimized by something called doxing, where they would take your personal pictures, maybe you're in a relationship, they take your personal pictures, and once you break up, they start putting your personal pictures online. That actually requires women playing in that space to tackle issues like that. Being like a being very aware about cyber malpractice, tackling doxing and online violence against women. So women need to play in that space to make sure that women feel safe to even up online. Honestly, the amount of women that are not active on LinkedIn and social media, and a lot of them are actually afraid of being visible online and in platforms because they believe people may come to attack them. And we can't run away from that, because online bullying is a very big blocker for women participation, even in the digital economy and the visibility. So women need to play in that space to protect, design softwares that can protect women, can spot when personal data of women are being shared and like suppress it, and make sure those things are reported, and create safer spaces online for women. That's one. Now I want to move into, and it's going to say something to Tola, Tony talked about. When we give gender, we group some roles, the man should do this, the woman should do this, we are not only cheating the women, we're cheating the men. So for example, maternity leave. Because of the challenges I faced in maternity, I started Blazers and Baby, and now doing Leading Career Moms, specifically focusing on young moms, new moms, and making sure that they don't get overwhelmed by that phase. They continue in a career or they change their career, but making sure that they can achieve their family and their career goals. But one thing I noticed in the years of working with this group of people is that motherhood and maternity actually gives women an advantage. One of the advantages it gives women, I'm sorry, it's not money. Women become more emotionally intelligent. Women can read the room better than men. You become very attuned to your intuition because the baby cannot talk. So you are looking at the baby and you are trying to figure out, what does this baby need? Is this baby wet or not? And the fathers miss out on that experience. So and now when we now came to COVID, people needed leaders that were compassionate, that could read the room. They didn't need to say anything. You see, women leaders were celebrated, they were driving, they were making the calls. Most male leaders were just moving with their logic and moving around. They were not reading the room, they were not intuitive. I dare say, I'm actually betting that by the time men prepare and participating more in paternity roles and home roles, they're going to build skills around intuition and change management. Remember that your baby can be well 1 hour and the next minute the baby is running temperature and your whole plans change. So women are able to react very fast when something is changing. They're not just like, what has changed? Oh no, and they just get totally upset. They're able to say, okay, so we can do this and that, especially mothers, because things change so fast. So the way I'm doing with my group, I try to help them understand that this is a strength and they need to use it at work. They need to use it. Yes, you missed out on time, but let your boss know you're able to respond to change. You're more flexible, you're agile because of motherhood, not in spite of motherhood. It is motherhood that unleashed that in you. And so our male students, when you become a father, take the time, spend some time with your baby. It helps you grow leadership skills. I've forgotten the luck. They're talking about other skills. So curiosity. If you notice, now we need people that are curious, not people that feel like I know everything, I'm the master of my field, I'm this. People are continuously curious and learning. And that's something that women have. And I would that I will move also to motherhood or people that play nurturing roles. You may not be a biological mother, but if you're an auntie and you play all these kind of roles with people, younger ones, you need to ask them questions. You may ask them 5 questions before they answer you. Imagine translating that to work. You are building how to ask good questioning skills that helps you understand problems better. And when you understand problems better, you're able to develop a more fit for purpose solution. So these are the skills that are needed right now. Right now, we are moving from the generation of who can carry, who has the strength, who has the mental agility, who has the mental capacity. So we have shifted generations. We're talking about energy transition. Now there's also a skill transition. It has moved from strength skills to like mental, mental skill. Who's the person that can change the faster? Who's the person that can understand things fast and see the application faster? So women need to see this period as a window of advantage to really take advantage of. And the guys also need to look at what are these things that these women are being exposed to that make them so resilient, right? So you develop those skills. You start saying it's not about you just being a man. It's not about testosterone. It's not about a matter of stamina anymore. It's really a matter of your mental agility. So you start exploring be open to exploring some seemingly feminine roles or things so that you can develop that muscle for yourself, and it makes you more competitive, being able to work with different parts of your brain. So Dr. Rita, please come in.
No, I wasn't planning to interrupt you, What I wanted to say is, both women and men, a key thing is volunteerism, because we don't have enough opportunities to develop our skills, maybe while at school if we're learning, or in the workplace when we've been assigned work. But when you take on volunteerism role, you have the opportunity to learn something that you haven't learned before. You build skills that you haven't built before. Even you also learn both technical and non-technical things. You are able to challenge yourself when I say you're not at no fear, because, okay, if I fail at this, I'm not going to be sacked. I just realized that I couldn't, do it. It helps you to understand your strengths and weaknesses, so that by the time you start going for interviews and they ask you, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, because you've actually applied yourself to these things. For me, I started out with my strengths being that, I could write a lot. I would be the secretary of every meeting, secretary of everything. But, when I was challenged, okay, try and lead groups, I started growing. I can't say that the first time I was given a leadership role that I was good at it. I must have failed woefully. But, doing it on and on, learning that, okay, you can actually leverage other people for conflict management, knowing how to, use resources, going to the top, just you begin to learn other skills, teamwork, everything, just by volunteerism. So I think that is how people can just help themselves as this generation is evolving. It's not only technical skills that are going to take people as far. It's good to have the technical skills, but there'll be emotional intelligence. There's going to be your other soft skills that you need to advance in your career and wherever you are, even in working with teams. And of course, you mentioned networking is very, very important, because without the network, you cannot go from point A to point B, even if you have everything. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Rita. And I think the last thing I will put is, communication. So especially students, right? I get a lot of LinkedIn invites from students, and I'm like, I only accept a few. And this is why. I think students have not really learned how to communicate with, in a way that they are seen of value, like, okay, I can give value to the person. So of course, what can a student give you? Yes, but in having conversations, mentoring, you can learn about their world. But imagine how many students want to actually connect with myself or with Dr. Rita or Dr. Tony. So if someone says, hello, I'm Joy, I'm Norma from Uniport, I'm studying petroleum engineering and I would like to connect with you, most likely I would not accept that request. But if someone says, oh, hello, I'm Norma from Uniport, I'm studying petroleum engineering. Right now I'm working on science, so now I'd like to understand how it's used in the industry, your experience with that, I would respond. If she says, oh, I'm Norma, this, we are working on a group project, I'm curious about your role. What do people in this role, what do they do in the industry? I'm curious about it. I'll respond. So communication skills are important, and Dr. Rita has described it. Volunteering in places like SPE and other associations gives you safe spaces to fail. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need certificate. You can just come up and volunteer. And by volunteering, you're testing your skills. People are talking to you, you're exposed. Last week I had a call with Gloria. On a normal day, I wouldn't have 1 hour to have a conversation with her, but she's volunteering for SPE, and that's why I had the conversation with her. So seeing that volunteering as a part of developing yourself, as a part to even networking, besides growing your skills, is also a win for you. So I know I talked about the tech skills and also not going to repeat it again. You can listen to that recording, but I want to emphasize on the soft skills, the curiosity, the emotional intelligence, the ability to communicate. And communicate is not only written and spoken, it's also listening and asking questions. Thank you.
Wow, that was very profound. Thank you very much, ma'am. So this has been a very enlightening session. As you've highlighted, an inclusive world is a better world for all, not just for women. And we've seen soft skills and technology skills that can be of help to us. We've talked about the challenges faced in both the academic world and the within the industry, and we've highlighted so many points. So because of time, we'll be moving on to questions. So please, if you have any questions from the audience, kindly drop it in the chat box. I'll be starting with this one from so Chino Ikwebu has a question for Mrs. Isioma. She said, as a female leader, what has been the most significant barrier in your career? Have you been confronted with gender-related roadblocks in your career, especially in your current place of work?
Isioma, you're muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
I think I'll put a disclaimer. Let me not say current place of work. Let's take it out. Let me just share my experience, right? So yeah, there've been situations, right? And it's not far from, well, and that's the industry as a whole. People use words that they don't believe are harmful, and they're just using it, and it affects your psyche. Like, for example, someone told me, you know, family is very, very important. So as you've got this job with Shell now, don't get pregnant in your first 3 years. So very good advice, right? don't come in your first year. If not, it's over for you. You know, you're in production. Be like this woman. They're calling different names. Be like this. Then there's one that I was scared. I dressed very nice. And typically I like wearing jeans, but that day I was really feeling like a girl. And I wore this, and someone told me, you're not even ready to walk. See what you're wearing. I used to, that like subtle bullying, intimidation, profiling. Imagine a young graduate facing all that. And then I got married and had my first pregnancy within my first 3 years, I think. Yeah. And I got that experience. My spouse said, oh my goodness, you know, there's just so many challenges. And honestly, women coming into the workplace now, there are going to be challenges. But let me tell you, the good thing about the challenges is that they make you better. They give you skills. Not my male colleagues that I came into the company with, I dare say I'm more competitive than them because of these challenges, because I grew more skills, and I decided to use the challenges as stepping stone. Because of the problem I faced when I was pregnant, I decided, I reached out to senior leaders, got sponsors, and I created a group for women. And the group, not only women, but for leaders too. So leaders could actually have engagement with women and understand what women want. And because I was successful, people started giving me more and more things. I rose up, I became an executive in the women's network in Shell. I ended up becoming a board member for Future Energy Leaders. People saw that I was able to realize, make a case for something and benefit other people. But other women had experienced it before me. They solved problem by themselves. Some of them were not able to even rise up to solve the problem. Their career stunted. But then they came Isioma, and I was able to do stuff, right? And then we all have different strengths. not everyone can be like Isioma, and that's what I tell people. Not everyone, because I had my baby and I was still going on field rotation. Let me tell you why I did it. Because first, I had a husband that was in the industry that understood the competitive advantage of me getting that, right? Of me getting that experience. Number two, my mom was well and alive and she's able to come and stay in my house. Number three, we were earning good money, so I could pay how many staff I need to solve a lot of problems. Number four, my sister was doing something in IPS at the point in time. So you can imagine all the resilience and support system I had to be able to achieve that. Imagine someone that maybe is an off, then my husband doesn't understand oil and gas industry. You are going to face, it's going to be hard for you to pull it off. And so it's very, very important. So there are a lot of challenges. There's also the challenge of leadership. So for example, you're becoming a production unit manager. It's a guy's thing because you're in a remote area in charge of more than 50 people. The community can come can come and just block your convoy. You see people with guns, like there can be a security outbreak. People have always been comfortable with men being exposed to that. And that's because men have always been part of the army. Men have always been people exposed to violence, which I think is quite some profiling that we did over the years, though. But men's strength has always been used to protect the clan. So any role that is a senior, that is a leadership role that is like that is always profiled for men. But when I say, yeah, I want to do it, they ask, don't you have children? Are you not thinking of your children? This and that. And I'm like, I want to get that experience. And so far it's safe, I can do it. It's not like if they're fighting World War in Niger Delta, right? So it's that ability for you to also believe in yourself and see the risk you want to take. Some of these jobs are risky. And I would say that, especially in the industry, if you don't do a job that has field exposure, has profit and loss responsibility, your route to senior leadership is very narrow. You will not have the credibility. When you talk, people say she's just talking from office, people, and that's it. Because if you take the easier part, people will always feel, and she's just talking office, she never knows, you never know. So we need to be ready to create parts where no parts have been. We need to be comfortable with it, and we need to measure the risk. What do we want to give? You cannot give everything. Like for example, I'm in Qatar Shell, I'm working in a HSSC role. There needs to be a point, even as a woman, you have to think about what's important to me. Have I given enough to this? You can't throw everything up because you want to achieve this, then you lose out on another side. Time for everything in your life. You need to be very deliberate about it. And that's why early in your life, you need to make sure you have the experiences that give you choice. At any point in time, you can decide, okay, I'm done with this. I've proved my point. I'm done with this. So that's how I did the first part of my career. So there are definitely challenges. I had some, but your own challenge will be different from mine. But I want you to make a vow to yourself that when you have a challenge, you're going to reach out for support and you're going to try and tackle the challenge. You will not allow the challenge drown you. Please.
Thank you very much, ma. In fact, the gems you are sharing here, I don't think anybody will give it to us free of charge somewhere else. So I really appreciate you. There's a question from Ibrahim Bilal. He says, following up from what you said during the keynote session, this is from Mrs. Isioma, please, can you give a workable scenario of how to develop skills from your brain to the wallet, especially in terms of the energy industry? It's a very critical point in long-term planning. Now the floor is yours.
From your brain to the wallet. Dr. Rita, Dr. Toye, they are part of it. But let me give you a simple from your brain to the wallet tip. Example, there are a couple of, I talked about women and even men, trying to get visible, but more women trying to get visible. So they are going on LinkedIn, they are writing. If you spot someone on LinkedIn, writing and all that, there's nothing that stops you from offering your services to say, I can make this into PowerPoint and I'll charge this amount for you. I can make this into slides. But you need to know how to design with Canva, right? And how to do all that before you can make that proposition. And that's what I mean from your brain to your skill to your wallet. Even on the basic level, I'm not really talking about deep tech now. I'm talking about you as a student now. You're on TikTok, you're on social media, you know how to reels. Dr. Rita likes writing, but she may not like reels. She may not like TikTok. Can you translate some of the lovely things she has written to infographics and put it on TikTok? And is she willing to be able to give you some money to do that? She would respond to that. But there's so many ways you can travel. You need to learn these skills, these little skills. I just talked about the basic one, know how to use Canva, know how to use the existing social media and LinkedIn that you have in the best possible, know how to set event, know how to design posters, those little things. Then when we move next, you know, we're talking about robotic process automation. There are different tools and platforms that do that. Learn how to do it. Go to a website. There are different websites where they have where you can say available and people can give you projects to work on, to work for them. Some people just want, I have this Excel sheet, can you automate it with macros for me? I'll pay you 50K. You know, but you need to learn it. You need to learn those things. So for example, Microsoft Copilot is coming out. I think Google Workspace is coming out, and there are AI tools. A lot of people will not have time to understand how it works. Go and understand how it works now. Go and understand it now and wait for your customers in months' time, where people will be asking, how does this Copilot thing work, right? And you're a student, you have time on your hands, especially as was a strike, a bad time. But I think that was a time for a lot of students to make money. But I was like, a lot of students, they did not even know that they were complaining at home, they were restive, and they were on TikTok. I was seeing them on social media doing stuff. Like, they could do a lot of things. So there are simple ways to translate that from your brain to your wallet. But what I'm currently doing at work is also a translation of brain to wallet. I'm currently doing a program with MIT for Chief Sustainability Officer. It's my money. I'm investing in it now. But you dare say that by next year, I'm sure I'll be earning something different because I have that. Either because of programs be involved in, opportunity I'm going to access because I invested in that. So always think about, how does the thing you're putting in your brain translate to value? And not only value, but it's also societal impact value. So the time I spend doing work with young mothers and doing work with mothers in the industry, then it's not a paid role, but it's translating to societal impact, and it gives me joy. So that is important to me. So let's think about wallet, but also let's think about things we can do that make an impact with respect to a cause that we are passionate about. Dr. Rita.
Okay, so what I just want to add is, you know, most people are thinking about wallet. It's not bad to think about wallet and money, but the thing is developing yourself to that point where you become indispensable, and then the money and the wallet will come later. If you put it as your, if you bring money as your first kind of criteria, it will help you to choose jobs that are not even suited for you. It does not help you to develop, you know, delayed gratification, which is very relevant in different aspects of your life. So I would really like that students, as they are thinking about this, you know, how do I get rich, and, you know, in a decent way, they should also think about the fact that there is a time of preparation. For me to leave my high-paying job to go and do PhD for 5 years where I wasn't being paid, you know, it's a way of self-development. And I talk about, you know, when people want to upskill and reskill, there are different ways and avenues to do that. You could do that through maybe just short courses, certification programs, or you can actually go into deep, you know, master's, PhD kind of things. All of them have different levels of taking you to, you know, building your kind of your competency. But the thing is that the more you invest, the more value that you're getting, be it the time you're investing in yourself or the money you're investing in yourself. So it helps you to build more value. And I now recall that one day, two things that, you know, Dr. Isoma said, you know, what people do on LinkedIn, but again, the skill behind it. Somebody contacted me and said that they wanted me to become a trainer for them just because of they knew that I had the skill and things that I have been sharing on LinkedIn. It was through LinkedIn that they contacted me, you know, that, okay, we want you to train us on all these energy transition kind of things. So you take out the time, whatever the thing is, build yourself in that area that is coming up. Build yourself, invest in yourself, and then publicize what you do. Nobody will know if you have that skill if you don't do something. You start out with doing things for free. Oh, I did this, build this app for somebody for free, publish it, put it on LinkedIn, and people begin to see your work. What are startups? The startups of today are just trying to take one problem and solving that problem. And it's with a basic skill. Somebody is so good in Excel, that's all the person does. Or this person is good in Python, that's all the person does. This person builds app, that's what the person does. So, and that's how we get startups. So again, students have a lot of time on their hands. I like now I look back at my life, I'm like, all the things I should have done as a student, I wish I had done them. I'm sure, I would have been far ahead of where I am if I had invested that much time and energy in myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. In fact, what you said is very spot on. During strikes and COVID-19, sometimes people complain about finding themselves in federal universities where we have to go on strikes. Yes, it's bad because it sets us back in terms of time, because you may graduate and end up applying for jobs where they say you have to be a particular age, and then strike has already taken that time away from you. But beyond that, I feel these strikes and breaks are opportunities for us to upskill ourselves. It was during COVID-19 that I started picking interest in machine learning and data science. And I won't lie, that has been a turning point in my life. So what our panelists have said is just spot on. Invest your time and your energy, and if possible, money in skills. Be patient. Yes, you need that financial, you need the money from it, but also learn to be patient and for the right opportunities to come. Allow yourself to develop expertise in those areas. You can, if you have some skills that you can already offer to people, you reach out to them, publicize yourself, but don't always wait for people to come and ask you. Sometimes you can see a need and tell someone that you can help them solve that need, and who knows, it may be something that will favor you. So let's move to the next question. So Gloria Madabuchi is asking, and this is for Dr. Rita, how do you identify and build allies within your workforce?
Okay, this is a tough one because I don't think it is you that directly go to build your allies yourself. Allies are people that have empathy towards your situation, and it's already in them. People that feel, women should not be maltreated, or people that feel people with Black people should not be maltreated, and that. So this is something that are inherent in people. But the thing is that you can easily associate with them when you identify somebody that is sympathetic or empathetic towards a certain group of underrepresented people. You can associate yourself with them. If you see somebody that when people are holding women meeting, there's this man that attends, obviously that person is an ally. You know that this person is going to be there for you. There was a time that I was in a committee. We were analyzing results of a DEI survey. There was one particular man that broke down when he saw the feedback of what was being done to women. At that point, I just knew that this person is an ally. And luckily, he was a person in a top position. So when we made our recommendations, he was the one that took the recommendations and now said, okay, this board, these are the things we're going to do. There are people that already have the natural empathy. It could be, for instance, a father that has 4 daughters, and then you're saying that women are useless, women cannot contribute. I mean, this father knows firsthand that women in the workplace are very valuable. So, you can identify them through what, the kind of situations they are, people that grew up in certain communities, people that have sisters. Maybe you can see a man that grew up with, I have many sisters, I'm the only man. That means that he's somebody that will have sympathy towards women and empathy. So it's morning time here. My crew will soon start waking up, so please bear with me.
All right, well, about rounding up, thank you very much, ma'am, for that answer. So there's another question for you, Dr. Rita. Ibrahim Bilal said you mentioned something about race. Now that I think about it, it took a toll on my first international exposure where I felt a bit of an imposter syndrome. Do you have any message for me around that?
So one of the things I would say is that everybody is going through their own imposter syndrome where they are, but you feel you're the only one that is going through it. People are going through it for certain reasons, such as, you know, the intelligence level, or, you know, where my background, am I rich enough? Am I poor? So in terms of the experience, what I would just say is continue to believe in yourself. What I would just say is believe in yourself, that everybody has something that is unique to them, that makes them different. And, you know, everybody is here with a unique purpose that makes you able to contribute towards a particular thing. So don't feel that, I would just say, don't feel in your mindset, you need to psych yourself that, look, I have value. There's something that I'm going to bring to this table. I may be of a different race, but my experience is something that is valuable. I remember a time when I had to sit on a panel. It was, they were talking about, you know, all this kind of, how do we bring in women to the workplace? How do we make things better? Everybody there was white and had grown up in the US. They had a certain kind of mindset. And then I was able to explain to them how back in Africa, we have a very strong support system. Your mother, your grandmother, your auntie, everybody is here to help you as a woman in the workplace. And their eyes opened. They didn't understand the kind of support system that we have back home. So, you know, you bring a different perspective. So just believe in yourself that you have value that you bring to the table, irrespective of the difference in your race, your gender, whatever it is. And then once you start believing in yourself and building your confidence, then you will see that you're able to overcome the imposter syndrome. I can tell you for free, when I joined Stanford and I saw the kind of brains that were there, I had imposter syndrome for like 1 year. And then somebody now called me and said, look, for you to survive, identify your niche. Maybe you're not going to be as good as those that are experts in partial differential equations, or the people that are coding C++, but there's something that you have. And then when she spoke to me, she said, focus on that thing that you are good in. When I took her advice and focused on the areas I was good in, and I had A+ in a course, people were like, how can a human being get A+ in this course that we don't understand? And just understanding that I had something that I was good at and I could focus on that one, that gave me the confidence to stay on and keep bringing more out of myself. Okay.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that very insightful answer. Let me see if there are any more questions. All right, so there are no more questions. So I want to appreciate all the panelists so much. In fact, all these insights you've shared with us, all the knowledge you've shared with us is priceless. That's just how I say it. It's priceless. It's not something it's not something you know. It's something that comes from experience. And even though we don't have the experience now, we're privileged to have people that are experienced talking about it with us. So I sincerely appreciate every one of you. I also appreciate the audience for staying this long. If there are no audience, then this event would not really make any impact. So I want to thank everyone here today, and I'll be handing over to Norma. So thank you for all the inspiration, Dr. Rita, Mrs. Isioma, and Dr. Toyin. In fact, I've been so inspired today. So Norma, the floor is yours now.
Thank you so much, Joy. Thank you, everyone, the amazing panelists, our beautiful moderator, our wonderful audience. Thank you yet again. So we're moving to the next agenda, and that is the membership drive, where we get to before we get to okay, before this, please I'll stop sharing so we can just take a group photograph. So please, everyone, turn on your cameras. Let's see your beautiful faces so we can just take a picture. Wait, hold on. We're still waiting. Everybody, turn on your camera. Ten more seconds. Turn on your camera. All right, thank you, everyone. That's what it's all now. So we move to the next. Let me continue sharing. So we move to the next agenda. That's the membership drive, where you get to learn more about SPE. So I believe that in this call, we still have SPE members as well as people who are not yet registered as an SPE member. So for the benefit of those who are just new, I'll just give a brief about SPE. So the Society of Petroleum Engineers is a not-for-profit professional association whose mission is to provide opportunities for its members to enhance their professional and technical competence. So there are so many reasons as to why one should be a member of SPE. One is networking, another is e-mentoring, online resources. You get access to daily and weekly student digests as well as journals of petroleum technology rather. And also there are awards, recognitions, and scholarships. And so for students like me, we have free international student membership. Also, we still have member programs like international events, national events. There's a whole lot joining SPE, and you'll be glad you did. So if you're not yet a member of SPE, you can reach out to me. I'll be dropping my number on the chat box. But before we move on to that, I would like everyone to watch this video of an SPE member who has a 40-year SPE member. Thank you.
SPE for me is my second home after my actual family. I have joined SPE when I was pretty young. I won't say how young I was, but I tell you I have been with SPE close to 40 years. The time, effort, and money you invest in SPE pays tremendous payback to your career, to your social network, and to your professional growth. I would not have done it any other way.
Okay. Okay, so please, if you're not yet a member of SPE, I'll drop my phone number here so you can send me a text after this meeting saying, I want to join SPE, and I'll be glad to put you through all of the and help you walk through the membership, the joining and the renewal of your membership. Okay, so my name is Noma, so I'll be dropping my phone number right now on the chat box. Thank you. So up next, we have the Kahoot games. So please, if you're still on this call and you want to participate, there are amazing prizes to be won. So just go to www.kahoot.it.
Sorry, Noma.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, quick one before the Kahoot. Madam Isioma, please, can we just have like 5 more minutes of your time? Please confirm if you can hear me, ma.
I was about leaving.
I'm so
I can hear
sorry.
you.
Okay. Please, I saw the link you sent, and I know we've spoken about this. I don't know if it's convenient for you, if you can just like talk to us about leaning for like 3 minutes. So at least some ladies are like aware of what it entails.
Okay, so Leaning is a network that started many years ago, but it started with one book written by Lysandra. How many of you use Facebook? So she was the COO of Meta, former Facebook, till last year. And it's what they have done is a non-profit organization, and they've created a lot of resources to help women navigate the workplace and navigate challenges and biases. They've also created resources also for guys, as in for teams, basically, and more resources are free. But the most powerful thing they've created is the concept of circles, where you come together, organize yourself, 6 or 8 of you in a group, and you have your clear goals, and you're through these materials, you watch videos, you have these materials and these journals that you go through together. You can have a mentor for your circle that would come in and support you guys as you're having this conversation. But what it means is that you guys are pushing yourself through, going through challenges, pushing yourself through, going through material, and deciding what am I going to do based on this. So that is something for me that I've used in my career and I found very useful. And so I started volunteering with the network, and now I'm on the advisory board. So I want to encourage, as I said, this chapter, get together, get circles together, get people organized around they want, people that want to look for jobs or people that want to develop a specific skill and all that. But and get on LinkedIn, form a circle, and then if you want like support and all, you can tap into any network. My own network is Leaning Career Mom, but you don't have to tap into that network. But if that's the one you want to tap in, there's also Leaning Equity and Sustainability, which I'm also part of, is a network. So you can pick any network to be part of. So that network is now full of professionals and working professionals that can support your circle, right? So if that's something you're interested in, we can have a separate call where we go into it. You have formed your circle. We can have a separate call where we go into it, and I help connect you with a network and provide you guidance so that you guys use circle development as students, and at least for those trying to look for jobs, NYC period, you can also use that and a minimum also network. So if that's something of interest, Gloria knows how to reach me. And for those interested in being in the circle, you can join that call, and then we can work through it together.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. Really appreciate. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of us will want this. So I'll give you feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, take care. Norma, you can go on. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much, Gloria. So we start with the Kahoot games. So please, we would love everyone to participate. If you're still on this call, just go to www.kahoot.it and enter the game pin. Waiting. There will be amazing prizes for the winners. So just try. Thank you. Okay. Ejurogene, welcome. Welcome. We're giving space for 10 participants. So when we're up to 10, we start the game. We're still waiting for more persons to join. All right, I see Juma. Welcome. People should join. I don't want to play game. After this technical session, you need to just cool off your brain with games. All right, we have Danny, we have Chima, more persons, 5 more persons, and we will start. Ade, welcome. Cyril, welcome. 3 more persons. Black Mamba, welcome. Your nicknames are very funny. 2 more persons. I think we need to start. The remaining 2 persons that don't want to win the prize. Okay, now no wahala. So we start the game now. Good luck to all participants. So the first question, what is the smallest continent by land area? Is it Africa, Asia, Europe, or Australia? You have 20 seconds to answer. So the first few answers. Okay. Congratulations to the 2 persons that got it correctly. We have Danny leading the scoreboard and Cyril next. So who was the first female SPE international president? Okay, time up. Congratulations to the 2 persons who got it correctly. We have Sir Jude Mark coming up and Danny still maintaining the lead. Third question, what is the largest organ in the body? General knowledge question, so I expect everyone to get this one. 5 more seconds. Okay. Congratulations to the 2 persons that got it correctly. We have, Cyril topping, then then Ade and Danny third position. The 4th question, what is the theme for 2023 International Women's Day? Is it diversity, DigitALL, equal, or equity? Congratulations. I'm surprised that people are still getting this question wrong. Congratulations to Ade for coming up as the lead. Then the 5th question, who was the first man to walk on the moon? Neil Armstrong, Buzz Armstrong, Michael Armstrong, or Williams Armstrong? Congratulations to all 7 persons that got it correctly. We still have Ade coming as the lead. The 6th question, when is the International Women's Day celebrated? What day of the month? Sorry, what day of the year is International Women's Day celebrated? March 6th, March 8th, March 15th, or March 20th? Just one person got it correctly. Wow, that's nice. So we still have a day as the chi coming up. The seventh question: who won Nigeria's 2023 presidential election? This one is anyone laugh? Okay. I have three persons who got it correctly. Why you picking? Oh, you did not see the spelling there. Sorry. So congratulations to all three persons who got it correctly. See, I Ade as the lead. Then eighth question: who gave the keynote address in today's event? Let me see who was taking notes. Congratulations to all 30%. Siap Ade actually, then Chi, then Cyril as the third position. Old Naira notes are valid since December 31st, 2023. All right, people just answered this one speedily. Okay, everybody got it wrong. Congratulations. And then the last question: in what year was the SPE Port Harcourt section formed? 1982, 1987, 1985, or 1973? Congratulations. It was actually formed in 1985. So congratulations to all participants. Now let's see our top three. Third position, we have Cyril, but Ade as second, and we have Chi as the first position. So congratulations to all participants. To all winners, you can send in your name and your preferred network in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're wrapping up the event, and for the closing remark, the president, Justice Igwe, will give you the floor now to say the closing remark. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I had a bit of network issues. So I just want to appreciate each and every one of you for staying up to this time. I know it's been over 2 hours on this call, but I'm sure we all gain valuable insights through the experiences and the insights shared by our speakers, our panelists. And then I just want us to be sure that the topic in question, that diversity, equity, and inclusion generally is a very critical one for us, even as students and even as potential engineers of the energy industry. So I want each and every one of us to take all of these things to heart skills to develop, how to make ourselves valuable should also be at the forefront of our thinking processes and our plans as we prepare for our future. So the recordings will still be made available. So you can always have the time to go back and listen to it and still gain more from all that was shared. I also enjoin all of you to make sure your membership with SPE is very active. Make sure you have renewed, you are up to date, you are an up-to-date serving member of SPE, and also try as much as possible to volunteer your time, your skills, your talent, your expertise, and generously for the growth of SPE. And then I also I know our moderator is still on the call, so I thank you very much for having the great pleasure to host this event, to moderate this event, especially the panel session for us. Thank you very much, Ms. Joy. She's also our great alumnus, by the way. Thank you, Norma, for being a great host. You very much. We sincerely appreciate all those that have been working tirelessly to see that this program has come to a success, the likes of Gloria, the likes of Emanuela, the vice president, and every other lady that spearheaded the planning of this year's Women Development Program. Thank you very, very, very much. And to all our participants still here present, thank you for staying up to this time. And I want to wish all of you a happy weekend and God blessings.
Thank you so much, Justice. So with that, we come to the end of this event. I had a really amazing time, and I'm very sure every one of you still did. So remember, the winners of the Kahoot games, please just send in your phone number in the chat box and you'll be contacted. So if there's anyone kind, give us a closing prayer. We greatly appreciate it.
In Jesus' name.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Father? Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can. Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, I want to give us a closing prayer.
Oh, okay,
all right.
fine.
In the name of
fine.
the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Lord, we thank you for bringing us this far. We thank you for granting us grace to come to the end of this session. And we pray to you, O Lord, that may all that we've learned here be implemented in our lives, in our industry, and to people around us. We pray, O Lord Jesus, that may the aim of this event be fully achieved, even as we continue our journeys into our careers. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for staying up to this time. We really, really appreciate. So with that, we've come to the end of the event.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day ahead.
Okay.